Everybody, here.
I'd like to open the town meeting for November 5th, 2018. Please silence all your phones or put them in vibrate. And if any questions, all questions and all opinions and anything you want to know, please address the council here, up front when you're up here at the podium, if anybody's speaking tonight. Okay? Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Upcoming meetings for the November. The Parks and Recreation Committee meeting Tuesday, November 20th, 7:30 p.m. Annual Thanksgiving Turkey Trot, Thursday, November 22nd, starting at 8 a.m. in the community park. Annual Town Tree Lighting Ceremony will be Monday, December 3rd, 2018 at 6 p.m. And the Town Council meeting for December will be December 4th, 2018 at 7:30 p.m. Any other meetings or going on in the town that anybody wants to bring up?
Is the tree lighting going to be back in the square?
No, it'll be out front, as it
Front of-
was last year. Yes.
At the live
Because
tree?
there's still construction going on?
Yeah.
There's, because of some of the adjustments that had to be made to the square project, there is no room for a larger Christmas tree at the square. So the festivities will be held out front.
At the live tree.
Correct.
Anybody else? Glenn?
Nope.
Okay. There will be a Heritage Day meeting at the American Legion on November the 19th at 7 p.m. It'll be held at the American Legion Post 121 here in Emmitsburg. Okay. Meeting items. We approved the meeting minutes for October 1st, 2018 and October 15th, 2018. Everybody look at the minutes? Is there any corrections from anyone?
I had a few.
Commissioner Ritz?
On page 5, it was the second motion regarding the rezoning of lots 10, 11, and 15, etc. There was a first motion made by Commissioner Buckman that was withdrawn, and then the second motion wherein we voted. The second sentence that begins with the word therefore, as it flows along there, I think that the word therefore might need to be removed.
Where is this?
It's the motion that starts to
I see
acknowledge
it.
the Board of Commissioners made a mistake in 2015 upon approval.
Oh, yeah, therefore it's inappropriate.
Unless anyone disagrees with that.
That's the exact wording from the meeting,
Okay,
that Ms. Shaw listened to it a couple of times, and I actually reviewed it with her. So that was the actual wording from the meeting.
well, that was me, so I didn't word that properly. But I mean, as long as the intent's there, are
Right.
we okay with that?
And that's the whole thing with the minutes. They're supposed to be a summary of what happened, and sometimes the language isn't exact what was said, but in this case, that sentence is exactly what was said at the meeting.
Okay. Well, then I have no problem leaving it as is. The very last sentence of that same paragraph, though, Commissioner O'Donnell is opposition, I believe should be in opposition. And then the following two paragraphs, they're the two separate motions. After lots 10, 11, 15, in the western half of lot, it says lot 12, and then the next paragraph also says lot 2, and this next paragraph also says lot 2. I believe they should both say lot 12.
He's right.
Should be 12.
Yes.
They said 12 originally, and when they said the motion again, they said
Okay.
Was that another wording?
That's an exact wording, however, it can be amendment, or it could be, with the motion here, it can be amended to say Lot 12, because that was what the intent of the motion was.
Is that what you want?
Yeah, I mean, I just pointing that out because there was the use of lot 12 prior to that, and then lot 2. So
Right.
just to make it consistent, that was all.
And that's in 2 spots?
Yes.
Right here.
Other than that, I had nothing for the first meeting, and then the second meeting had nothing to add to that.
Okay.
Anyone else have any corrections? Commissioner O'Donnell?
No, sir, none. Sorry.
Ben, you okay?
Thought you heard me.
Here for also?
I need a motion to accept the meeting minutes for October the 1st.
Do we need to make a motion
Or
to change?
do we want to do them both at the same time or separate?
Separate, please, since you're amending the first set of minutes.
I need a motion to accept the meeting minutes for October the 1st as amended.
I'll make a motion to accept the October 1st meeting minutes as amended.
A
Second? Oh,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Ritz and seconded by Commissioner Buckman. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Any nays? Motion carries 5-0. I need a motion to accept the meeting minutes for October the 15th.
I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from, I'm sorry, trying to get the right date here. Date,
October the
October
15th.
15th. Thank you.
I'll second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner O'Donnell, seconded by Commissioner Ritz. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any nays? Motion carries 5-0.
Great.
The police report will be done later on in the meeting. He is not here at this time. He had a call. Town manager's report.
Good evening. This is the town manager's report for September of 2018. I will highlight some of the pertinent areas. Under the streets, staff continue to assist the contractor with the GIS mapping of the storm drains. Staff prepared for the Fallen Firefighters Weekend, conducted the monthly street sweeping, put up banners, and cleaned streetlight globes. Staff also repaired a concrete storm drain slab in Northgate. Related to the parks, the staff assisted the contractor with the installation of a new expansion tank in the community park restroom building to help with some of the complaints that we've had regarding the restroom and the lack of pressure in the toilets. And then come the spring, the contractor will come in and install some new toilets and fixtures. Staff mowed, trimmed, and weed killed in all the parks. Related to water, Rainbow Lake is currently at its spillway level of 16.6 feet. All the wells were turned on in the end of September due to the large amount of rain in an effort to reduce the turbidity coming into the plant. There's a lot of mud and dirty water coming into the plant from Rainbow Lake because of the high flows. We produced an average of 279,669 gallons, and we consumed 241,401 gallons per day. The difference in this amount is backwash water, so it's about 18%. And we purchased 416,400 gallons of water from the Mount this month. Under wastewater, we received approximately 13.5 inches of precipitation in the month of September. We currently have a surplus of 28.7 inches over the last 6 months. As you know, this rain has been very difficult on both our plants, our pumping station and our wastewater treatment plant. At the wastewater treatment plant, we treated approximately 1.242 million gallons per day. We only consumed about 241,401 gallons per day, which means 80.6% of the wastewater treated this month is wild water. They're pushing an enormous amount of flow through the pumping station, and through our wastewater treatment plant. We had one spill of untreated sewage in the month of September due to heavy downpours. This occurred September 9th and 10th, and we lost approximately 68,000 gallons. We exceeded the plant's design capacity 12 times in the month of September. Trash pickup will remain Mondays in the month of November. Below that is I highlighted some of the meetings I attended in the month of September. Under noteworthy, staff performed quarterly water meter readings. During the rain event, as I mentioned, the pumping station flooded again. And at the wastewater treatment plant, the centrifuge clogged up due to a power surge and improperly went offline. Pre-bid meetings for the pump station, requests for proposals were held on November 3rd and November 4th. Bids for the new for the engineering services related to the pumping station are due next Friday, the 16th. And then Tuesday and Wednesday this week, staff will be meeting with engineers to get proposals for the hydraulic analysis that's required at Rainbow Lake. Related to, just as a reminder, that forestry walkthrough meeting, for anybody that's interested, is going to be held on November 17th at 9 a.m., and they're going to be meeting at Rainbow Lake. And then, I don't know if the email's been sent out yet or not, but the MML legislative dinner will be held on December 4th in Middletown. As in years past, the town will pay for each elected official, and then it's your responsibility to pay for one guest. Please make sure you RSVP with Ms. Shaw. And then the update that everybody's received, I just wanted to remind everybody on the bridge that this state bridge contract will be setting up cranes on Wednesday, November 7th during the day shift. They'll be parking tractor trailers along the shoulders, one on the westbound side and one on the eastbound side. And then on Wednesday evening, there'll be lane closures in 15-minute spurts when they go to set the beams between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. And that is all I have for the manager's report.
Do they think they're gonna be finished at one side of the bridge by winter time? Do you know?
They are hoping to have it open by be switched over come mid-December. We'll have another bridge meeting on, I have the calendar with me, it's in 2 weeks from Thursday. It's like the 20th.
Okay. I have one other question before I get to the commissioners. The power surge, that was where at the new,
The centrifuge at the new plant.
right, didn't we have a thing for power surge we got?
We do have a generator that operates out at the plant, but see these surges, and I asked the same question of our staff. These surges are so quick and short that it does not give the time for the generator to kick on. Generators kick on when it's off for not necessarily an extended period of time, but more than 5, 10, 15 seconds, and that's all these blips are occurring for, but that's all you need for it to wreak havoc on all our equipment.
So is that what happened tonight?
We had
I don't
another
know
one
what happened tonight.
Well, it's still, people are still out in
Yes.
some areas.
Yes.
But it went out and came back on.
I know I'm out,
Yeah,
and it's not supposed to be back on until 10:30 tonight. But no, that didn't have anything to do with what's happening out at the plant.
Mr. Sweeney,
It's just like a power surge.
yes, Commissioner O'Donnell.
is it okay to ask questions, or do
Yes,
you have?
I'm
okay,
finished.
Great, thank you. Sticking with the wastewater treatment plant, do we have surge protectors over there to protect the equipment? I mean, it strikes me that we've got to have something to protect the sensitive electronics.
We do have surge protectors, but again, I think for at least what's been explained to me is these surges are just so quick
Right.
that it's not giving a chance for either the protectors or the generator to kick in. They are looking at different options and trying to figure out how we can prevent this.
I was just say, are we talking to an electrician or a consultant about surge
Staff
protection?
is out there, yes.
Okay,
They're
terrific.
researching ways.
Okay. Doubling back to the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Do we anticipate any water line disruptions for the south side of town, so to speak?
No.
Nothing. That's great. Okay. Is there, and I missed this in this, I'm sorry if I didn't catch this, but we talked about a wild water sort of abatement plan, like updating and upgrading the sewers with liners.
Right.
do we have a start point for that and a timeline, or do we have anybody who's
I
responded?
think we're on their schedule for after the first of the year.
Okay,
They
all
were,
right.
their schedule was booked, so I
Okay.
think they have us on for the first of the year.
Okay, and I'm sorry to grill you. I don't mean to,
No, it's okay.
State Highway, I know you said they were contacted. I have great faith they were, about the access points to 15 and the concrete pads there and the growth and the debris on those. They were going to clean those. Do we know when they're going to come to clean those? Because we look like a Rust Belt town, and the debris.
I'm not sure where
Okay.
you're speaking of. Tree grates?
Silo Hill, as you exit Jubilee, the concrete pads there at 15, like they're like triangles that you don't drive on. The tractor trailers do because of their their girth. Same thing on the south side of the bridge over 15. There's just a lot of weed action and car debris and gravel and such. I'm just wondering if State Highway has said when they're going to come to clean those.
Zach just told me he thought they took care of that the end of last week, but you don't.
Okay. It didn't look like it, but I'll double check.
Okay.
Last item, and I promise this is my last item for this. After the big blow we had, the nor'easter that blew through, a lot of signs in town. I've seen them in Brookfield and Pembroke Woods and on Irish Town Road in town. They're canted to one side, like because the wind just knocked the daylights out of them. Nothing's down that I could see, but if staff could kind of do a cruise and maybe identify what needs to be corrected. I just don't want to see that stuff go and walk away with a college student or
Right.
an excited teenager, so,
Okay.
or the Ritz kids, so. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Much appreciated. Thank you, Mr. Sweeney.
You're welcome. Commissioner Ritz, you have any would you like any questions?
On the manager's report?
Yes.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Commissioner Buckner? Commissioner Blanchard? Mr. Mayor, you want to comment on the town manager's report?
Oh, no, it's fine. They work very hard
Already, we'll have the planner's report.
for change.
Okay, the town planner's report for September 2018. I'm also going to highlight what I believe the most important information. So I attended the Board of Appeals meeting on September 17th. This was for a variance request for a carport in the front yard. The Board of Appeals did deny this request. I attended a Board of Commissioners meeting on the 4th of September, received and processed a restoration grant for application for 30 West Main Street. I processed a reimbursement request for the town's sidewalk project for over $7,000. We did receive that. We still have about almost $35,000 left over. Processed the quarterly report for the fiscal year 2017 facade grant and the fiscal year 2017 square and sidewalk revitalization grant. I met with the Sustainable Communities Board twice on 9/10 and 9/21 to review the grant applications for 30 West Main Street and also 224 East Main Street. Assisted Advanced Land and Water as they mapped the existing town stormwater pipes, outfalls, inlets, stormwater BMPs, and illicit discharge screening location. And if I may, Commissioner O'Donnell, the area you're talking about by Silo Hill, by Silo Hill there, that's a vegetated swale, and it's actually supposed to be grown up for,
Not the swale, but rather the actual concrete slabs.
the concrete, okay.
Okay, I mean, literally they are bare concrete.
Okay.
I know what you're talking about.
Now I understand. Okay. Let's see. Created and attended the annual MS4 training on 9/11. 15 staff members attended the event. Continued to work on the final MS4 stormwater report. Permits and zoning processed and approved. Drive extension, a fence permit, use and occupancy permit, alley closure permit. For the Planning Commission, received and processed a request from the Frederick County Division of Utilities and Solid Waste Management. They actually reviewed that on the 18th, and they recommended approval of the waste plan changes to the county. Miscellaneous, attended a training on 9/11 regarding the Maryland Open Meetings Act, attended a Planner Main Street meeting in Newmarket, Maryland on 9/13, attended a grant training in Boonesboro, Maryland on 9/18, wrote an article for the town newsletter. I applied for a dog park grant from Purina. This, if approved, this will purchase doggy playground equipment and also hold a grand reopening event or some kind of event similar. Wrote an RFP to design 2 new panels in the town square visitor kiosk. If awarded, the panels will be funded with a grant and match from Visit Frederick. And that's it.
Do I have any questions for the town planner? Commissioner O'Donnell?
Sure, randomly. Dog playground. We've had bad luck in the past. How long did we spend on the grant writing? I mean, was that like a day, half a day?
It was less than a half a day.
Great, okay, thank you.
And there's no match required for that, so it would be all grant funding.
Terrific, okay,
Yes.
thank you.
It's over $12,000.
All finished?
Yes, sir, thank you, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Ritz?
I'm good, thank you.
Commissioner Buckman? Commissioner Blanchard? I have no questions, and we'll move on. Commissioner comments? Commissioner O'Donnell?
Yes, sir, thank you. I want to congratulate Catoctin High School's girls varsity field hockey team. They completed their season deep in the playoffs, the Maryland State playoffs, as the sectional champion. They did not get to the state championship, however, they were eliminated beforehand, but this is the best they've done in a long while, so congratulations to them. Yesterday, I was in Brunswick. I attended a NICA race. It's that youth mountain biking program I've been speaking of. They had, what they estimated was about 500 people there. They had 200 plus kids, like young people from middle school to senior and high school, competing in the event. It was a 2-day event. They're doing an economic survey based on the spending of those who are participating. When I have that information, I'm going to bring it back to the board and share with us basically what they found from the event. It looked like there was a lot of spending going on. And speaking to one shop owner, he had about $1,700 in sales. They had a food truck there that sold out. They just had large numbers, more than people had initially anticipated. So I'm hoping for an event like that here in Emmitsburg in the near future, something I've been working on for a little while. Moving beyond that, I want to thank town staff and the mayor and the board. We have a sidewalk connection on Timber Mill Run now. That was one of the gaps in our connectivity that separated the newer neighborhoods from downtown. And again, I see people walking on that. I see there have been trees planted along Main Street. Again, you know, that's great to see that we're moving forward on our grant. A request came from someone in one of the neighborhoods asking if trees could be planted along Brookfield Road, and I think maybe that might be something for consideration. I know Mr. Mayor likes the eliminating, what's the term, a heat sink? Is that the right term?
Yes.
So hopefully some trees might be able to mitigate that. And beyond that, no other comments. Thank you, sir.
Good job. Congratulations.
Thank you. Commissioner Ritz?
I'd like to congratulate the Catoctin football team for a great season and wish them the best of luck in the playoffs. Thank you to everyone who helped out with Halloween. It was a great event. Sorry I didn't see a lot of you. I actually stick more to the north side. There's a lot more candy up that way.
That was you, huh?
Yeah. Third, just a follow-up from the other meeting. As I reported, we had an incident next door. We have a rental house next to us of college students, so we did bring that to Vice President Wayne Green's attention, and we had a nice sit-down meeting with him and the students in question. It wasn't so much the students that lived there, it's who they had over that night. There were current students and former students. So I think we're all on the same page now, good understanding. So he just wanted to reiterate that his door is open, his email, phone call, whatever, to let him know if you have any issues, just to contact him. So I thought that went well. That's all I have right now. Thank you.
Commissioner Buckman?
Okay, so thank you for making the dog park better. I was wondering if there's some way we can get more shade trees in there, because people can't use it. It's too hot in the summertime, and they want to, but there's just not enough shade for them.
I agree. Part of the grant was a couple trees to put in there, and
Okay.
so it does get hot for the dogs.
Good, okay. And then several residents have asked, this upcoming water bill, if there's a way we can mount a drop box to the outside of the building, making it easier to come in, because we work when you're open.
Well, there is a drop box at 20, you can put it in the slot at 22 East Main Street.
Oh, okay.
And that's 24 hours a day. You can drop that in, and
Oh, good.
Miss Nail or Public Works staff picks it up every morning.
Oh, didn't know that. Okay.
It's right in the door.
And then, working with the EBPA on the turkey trot, on Thanksgiving morning, we have a 1 mile walk bikes, kids, strollers, wheelchairs, welcome. All that money goes to the Seton Center, Inc. Also, we have a 5-mile run, which is touted to be the most beautiful run, the rolling hills through St. Joseph's Valley. So I hope we can get some volunteers also to help with that on the race day.
Thank you. Commissioner Blanchard?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just one major announcement, basically. This Sunday marks Veterans Day on November 11th, and traditionally, November 11th on Veterans Day, the Honor Guard started in front of the Legion post, then went behind to the cemetery behind St. Joseph's. Because that time period is actually when one of the church services will be going on, they've agreed to change the order of the firing. There's 3 cemeteries outside of town that will start with honoring the veterans in those cemeteries, and by the time they come back into town, it should be like around 12 o'clock, 12:30, and all the church services in town should be over by that point. I double checked on the web, checking different times, and again, 11:30 looked like the end of the last church service in town. So again, they've agreed to add a consideration, not only for church services, also, you know, we've had 2 highlight, unfortunately, murders that have occurred in the last couple of years in churches. So the firing of weapons in the middle of a church service is just really kind of poor taste. So they've agreed, basically, that understanding that being the case, not to fire actually in the middle of a church service. If you're interested in attending, right outside the Legion, gather around 10:30. The guys will be gathered in cars and going out to the different cemeteries to fire the honor salute. This Sunday does represent the 100th anniversary of the very first ceasefire. It is the centennial of the very first, what they call at that point, Armistice Day. After World War II, was referred to as Veterans Day. So, anyways, thanks to Mark George and others who agreed to help kind of work around this in the church services in town to not panic anyone with the firing of guns in the middle of a church service. So, that's what I got.
Thank you.
Are we able to contact those people who had some concerns because of their PTSD that reached out to us?
We'll post it on the building again like we did last year. and
It
it's
should be
already been-
about noon by the time we actually get back in town.
Okay, and it's
Yeah.
already been posted up on 99
Okay.
Facebook, and we'll refresh that tomorrow and throughout the week. But yeah, I think we'll post the building
Okay.
like we did last year. Put
Thanks.
some flyers on the cars.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Okay, thank you. Is that all, Glenn?
Yep, that's all I got.
I only have, I'd like to thank everybody for their help for the Halloween block party and parade and everything we had. It was an actual whole community event, the town staff and all the organizations in town, the Masons, the Legion, the VFW, the fire company, the ambulance, everybody worked together, Legion. And without everybody working together, we wouldn't have been able to have the block party. So thanks for helping with the Halloween, and we hope to continue that in the future.
And we made the TV news.
And we made the TV news. Yes, we were actually on the news the next day. We also have a Christmas party coming up for the town that the Lions Club will be having. It'll be here in this building in the senior center downstairs. It'll be December the 8th at 10 a.m. to 1, and it's all free to the children for the come in to see Mr. and Mrs. Santa Claus, magic show, hot chocolate and hot dogs, and a lot of crafts and stuff they can do, and projects they can take home with them. So it's all free to the town, so everybody can come out and enjoy themselves, mother and father too. We also have the tree lighting here, and Carriage House Inn are having a Christmas function on December the 3rd, and that starts at 6 o'clock here, right? 6 a.m.
6 o'clock here. Is it the
or 6
third?
p.m. I think it starts at 6 with tree lighting,
Yes.
and then
December
everybody
3rd
goes
at
to Carriage
6.
House after that for
Yes.
entertainment, Christmas caroling, and hay rides and everything. It's also a free event for the town, so that's December 3rd. So everybody come out and enjoy themselves. That's all I have. Mr. Mayor?
No, thank you very much. Also, congratulations to Catoctin High School field hockey team and also to their football team. Spectacular year, and wish them the best. Halloween Day party was terrific. Just a wonderful event. Veterans Day coming up will again be reshuffled, and I want to thank Commissioner Blanchard for working on that. to complement the church services. Last month, I participated in the Maryland Mayors Association Executive Committee. We had a teleconference. We have another one on Thursday, and there'll be a meeting in February in Annapolis with regard to that. Met with the Community Foundation of Frederick Fund, Executive President and CEO Elizabeth Day. Was also a judge at the Catoctin High School Homecoming Parade with Mayor Kennard. We were there at the grand opening of McDonald's. The Fallen Firefighters Directors Dinner at the Carriage House was sponsored by Motorola. That was a wonderful event. Then on the Fallen Firefighters Day, I did give the welcome address. We had a National Fire Heritage Center board meeting at the Vigilant Hose Company, followed by next day, a League of Conservation Voters Executive Fund Awards Dinner in Annapolis, and attended the Maryland Municipal League Fall Meeting in Annapolis. Both of them were terrific events. International Society of Arboriculture Gold Leaf Award, it's right here. We have a couple awards I'm going to show you, but this is spectacular. I said it was our second one. Thank you for correcting me. It's our first international award, but it's an international group that for what we did, the staff with Ms. Shaw and everybody else pitching in on this, the whole staff, to make it a spectacular. We approached that day as the 12 tribes of Emmitsburg, and got everybody, FEMA, the Mount, the Lions Club, everybody we invited again. It's a terrific thing, and that's one reason we got the award. But it is an international organization, the International Society of Arboriculture, and it's a nice award for all of us. Guys, we'll go through the rest of them. This is the Emmitsburg, Frederick County Municipal Impact Awards, Emmitsburg 2018. Infrastructure and Large Projects Award. It's for our downtown. We received that from Frederick County. And then one more. And Sustainable Maryland Certified. We were recertified for the years 2018 to 2020 of Maryland Sustainable Society. So we're bringing home the hardware to verify to mirror what we're doing here. Everybody up on this board, and the staff, and everybody. Finishing up, attended the Mount St. Mary's College of Liberal Arts Committee. Serve on that. Investiture of Girl Scouts in Thurmont. These are all terrific things. And the Mount Rugby Club Alumni Dinner. That's a big organization now. It was a fun time, and I think they beat Towson. I think do you follow that, Rugby?
Every dog has its day.
All right. Michael Kay, met him up at Rainbow Lake. He's with the State Forestry. Keep this thing long. And then there's a wonderful organization called the ESP Dance Studio 5K Run. It's at Mount St. Mary's, 8 o'clock in the morning. And it was pouring down rain, but I was a starter for that. And a wonderful, wonderful thing they do for cancer. So it was a really full month of activity, and which our town, everybody in the county is really going at it. So it's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Public comments. We have everybody's for Trello, so we'll wait to you guys okay waiting on that till it comes up in the agenda, or you want to speak on it now?
Mr.
Well, we're going to try to move it up earlier, if it's okay with the.
Mr. President,
Yes.
could I just mention these last two things?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wait, it was me. I apologize. Excuse me, everybody. It's just that we got a grant from the Community Legacy Program, $75,000 for the Emmitsburg ADA Accessible Playground Project. This will complement the $125,000 we got were awarded from POS money. So we're very close to. I think we're almost there for having an ADA accessible playground next, hopefully by spring, maybe for whatever the summer. And also we received another $50,000 for the Emmitsburg facade and restoration program. This is community legacy money. That's a 50/50 program, so this is about the 6th year. So we're getting up to where I have 600 to almost $700,000 worth of work's been done downtown to the facades of the town in the last couple of years. So congratulations, Joe and lady. Thank you very much, and to our wonderful staff.
All
Appreciate
finished? Done now?
it. I thought there's more. There's something. I'm looking around here. There's
If you find something, just let me know.
Stuff everywhere.
I would like to move the 4th agenda item to second on agenda after the wayside signs, if that's okay with everybody to move them up.
Treasurer's report, do you want to do that?
I'm not doing, I'm gonna do that. I
Okay,
just wanna
okay.
know if that's okay. We're gonna move that up on agenda. If you wanna wait, we're gonna move to second instead of 4th. Because the wayside signs, these pictures here will be next, first. So,
Wait, what?
Mr. Sweeney, could you repeat that for a moment?
I would like to move the update to the ordinance of the related to the trailers
Yes. To number one.
number 2. I'd like to keep wayside at number 1 so we can get, that we don't have to keep them, and we'll do trailers second so we can let everybody go 2, then you won't have to stay here and be bored to death with all the rest of our stuff. Okay? Is that okay
Mr.
with
Sweeney,
everybody?
My only concern is I think there's going to be a lot of commentary and discussion by the board related to the signs. I think it might be, I don't know.
Put them first?
My suggestion would be to put the trailer ordinance item first, as we have more.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah,
I would suggest that, but
Okay, is it okay if everybody, we move the 4th to number 1? And that way, you guys, the trailer people will get, whoever's speaking for the trailer ordinance can speak first then. And then the wayside will go second. Alrighty? That way, you don't have to come up twice.
numbers. I'm just going by numbers.
Okay, we'll do administrative business. It's a proposal for trail volunteer days.
Yes, sir. Hi, thank you. My hope is to get the board's approval for volunteer days on November 18th, which is a Sunday, and secondly, on December 1st, which is also a Sunday. The idea is we're going to put a lot of effort into leaf blowing. We have a leaf blower rented. We have 2 from Moore in place, and we're expecting another one, but that would be the bulk of the work, that and trimming back growth into the corridor. So there's no dirt being turned on that day. And I hope the board is okay with those 2 dates.
I have no problem with it. Anybody else have a problem with it? Okay.
November 18th and December 1st.
Correct. And as usual, we'll have food before and food after.
Can you send an email to staff so they can get that posted with any information that you want?
Sure, thank
Okay.
you, absolutely.
Anything else on the trails?
No, sir. We have a $40,000 grant in the offing, and I'd like to talk about that in our next meeting
Okay,
as an agenda item.
alrighty. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. We have none. Okay, treasurer report.
Yes, sir, thank you. As of October 1st, 2018, we have $5,479,892 on deposit. We've had deposits in the amount of $420,330 and withdrawals in the amount of $493,141. So our operating balance forward at this point in time, as of October 30th, is $5,407,081.
Everybody happy with treasurer report as it is?
Yes. Fine.
Sure.
Okay. Any other questions before we move on? Okay, we're moving on. Planning Commission report.
Yes, Mr. President. Last meeting, we met on October 29th, and we had a couple business things we had to take care of real quickly. We had the resignation of Mr. John Howard as the vice chair. We welcomed Mr. Mark Long on. He was elected actually secretary of the Planning Commission. Also welcomed myself as new liaison to it. We also elected Frank Davis as the vice chair of the Planning Commission. We accepted Ms. Rosenstale's resignation as the Planning Commission secretary. We had one discussion item. We worked on the preliminary subdivision plat of Section 3, lots 3 and 4 for Silo Hill, and that was approved after much discussion. The area in question is the area of land behind the car wash. This is just preliminary, looking at some work, possible small shopping center, actually, that small plot that's behind the car wash. and that large section that's next to Route 15. And again, that was just a preliminary. This month, I do believe we're coming back, Zach, and
Yes.
I'm sorry, moving on to the next stage. I do want to thank Zach for bringing me up to date on all the issues concerning the Planning Commission. Thought the meeting went very smoothly. I was pleasantly surprised. So, thank you. So, anyways, that's what I got.
Thank you. Alrighty, that's all of our meeting items. So we're going on to regular agenda items now, and we will have the update ordinance related to the trailers, 15.24, for discussion and maybe consideration.
So what we would like to do, I believe Zach provided the board with a memo related to sea containers. It was dated September 18th of 2018 that kind of highlighted the issue at hand that started back in April of 2017. And I think everybody was provided a copy of that. So what we would like to do is make the staff presentation on, and it's up to you, Mr. President, how you want to handle it. We can give a staff presentation highlighting the history of the sea containers or the trailers in town. I think they're struggling with the PowerPoint because the power went out. We can give anyway, the history of the issue at hand and the go over the town code and the county's determinations.
Okay.
And then you also have, obviously, you have public comment and you have a proposed ordinance change, however the board wants to proceed.
Does anybody have any opposition to the staff doing the presentation first?
If we can.
Hopefully, the machine gets running.
We'll talk about the ordinance, save some time. Would you rather hear the presentation?
I think we have to wait because it's not ready.
Anything you can say,
Is it coming?
possibly.
Right, we can give a presentation. I mean, obviously, the PowerPoint would be very helpful, because we had a map outlining the zoning map, as well as
There
some
it goes.
pictures
It's on.
and emails.
Get the lights.
Do we have magic?
I think they want staff to go first, I believe.
All
So,
right, so we'll
Go
go ahead
ahead.
and start with history while they work on that,
Okay.
okay?
okay, so in August 15th, 2011, the town unanimously, 5-0, passed ordinance number 11-16, which amended the trailer ordinance. April 20th, 2017, staff noticed the placement of 2 sea containers plus a roof at 1 Creamery Way, which is Ballinger Construction. The former town planner, Sue Sipperly, sent 1 Creamery Way an enforcement letter, and they were given until May 1st, 2017 to apply for a zoning certificate. June 2nd, 2017, the former town planner sent 1 Creamery Way a letter stating that the zoning permit application was denied because 1, the structure was built within the building setback line, and 2, sea containers or trailers are not permitted to be used as a storage shed in any zoning district per Chapter 15, Section 24.020E. The property owner was given until July 13th, 2017 to remove the containers. On June 5th, 2017, John Pico, former Department of Permits and Inspections manager, emailed the former town planner the following determination statement on sea containers. And I quote, "Sea containers are shipping storage structures that meet a different regulation, Navy, and are not necessarily our adopted building and fire codes. They are also a transportation device, part of a semi-truck bed when transported to local stores or customers. The engineering behind these devices are not covered or included within the building/fire code to even apply the code."
It works.
So with all of that said,
I'm sorry.
with all that said, we, Frederick County P&I, have taken the position not to allow such units to be used as accessory storage structures or even a part of the load-bearing building component of a structure, end quote. And you could see February 1, 2018 enforcement packet for the original email, and we also included in this packet. February 1st, 2018, the former town planner sent 1 Creamery Way a letter summarizing the violation history. the county determination and gave them until March 15th, 2018 to remove the containers. August 14th, 2018, the current town planner, myself, sent One Creamery Way a letter summarizing the violation history and gave them until September 1st, 2018 to remove the containers. August 30th, 2018, the mayor, town manager, and myself held a conference call with the owners of One Creamery Way at their request. The owners were told that the structures must be removed by September 1st, 2018 in order to avoid citations. The owners of Ballinger Construction said that they were not the only property on Creamery Way with sea containers. I'm sorry.
Move on from them.
Okay. So after investigation of that, more were identified on Creamery Way. We met with 17650 Creamery Way Quality Tire and notified him of zoning violations on his property. The town planner also sent enforcement letter to the owner and gave them until October 29, 2018 to remove the trailers. September 4th, the town planner met with the office manager of 20 Creamery Way, his place, and notified her of the violation on their property. An enforcement letter was also mailed to the property owner. They were given until November 3rd, 2018 to remove the trailer. The owner called the town planner and thought they were grandfathered. The property owner was notified that he could not issue a non-conforming status on the containers because the ordinance is not in the zoning, it's in the building ordinance. September 4th, the owner of Lot 3 on Creamery Way came into the office and asked the town planner about building a structure next to his sea containers. The town planner notified him that sea containers are not permitted in the town. An enforcement letter was also mailed to the owner, and they were given until November 3rd to remove the containers. September 6, 2018, John Clapp, the town attorney, issued the following statement through email regarding grandfathering. I'm not convinced at this point that the trailer can be grandfathered in the same manner as a zoning non-conforming use. If someone parked a dump truck on the town hall parking lot every day for 20 years and then the town enacted an ordinance stating that parking trucks on that lot was illegal, I don't believe the offender could continue to park there once the town makes it illegal, just because he had been doing it for the ordinance before the ordinance was enacted. He said that's his initial reaction. He had to research it further, end quotes. September 11th, we issued some citations to One Creamery Way. Also on September 12th, also on September 13th. And September 17th, we received a letter from Barbara Joe Entwistle, attorney for his place, requesting a text amendment to allow the use of sea containers in the industrial zoning district. You can see from your packet the request that they made. Our attorney did review it and had comments.
The map's up there now.
I'm sorry.
I said your PowerPoint's working now.
Okay, that's for the attorney. So if you want to go through the proposed text amendment, if you want to pull it up, for D, so this D1 is what our solicitor proposed if it is passed. Just some little fixing some areas. Number 2, D2 is what the Mrs. Entwistle is proposing. A trailer may be used as a storage shed in an industrial zone if it is not visible from any adjoining residential area. Amy, if you could pull up the pictures of the trailers. So if enacted tonight, one property would not be in compliance with the new ordinance. This would be Quality Tire. Where Miss Nail is standing is Emmett Gardens at the curve, right when you go straight back. I think it's First Avenue. You can see the trailers from there. So even if enacted tonight, one property in the industrial zone would not be in compliance with the code.
Just to back it up a little bit, just a little history, not necessarily a little history. Ms. Sipperly was going off the county's determination in our code. Basically, our code at the time that all this transpired, code did not allow for the trailers in any zone within the town limits as enacted by the ordinance in 2011. And then she conferred with the county on this, and that's when the determination from John Pico in June of 2017 basically said that the county has taken the position not to allow such units to be used as accessory storage structures, or even as part of a load-bearing building component of a structure. Zach's been in contact with, I believe, Mr. Pico's, or Gary Hassong is the current manager. He took over for John Pico, and he has come out with a determination now that has said, and this was October 22nd, so we finally got another determination from the county, who says he thinks that Mr. Pico's determination is reasonable. However, it would appear to address only those units that are expected to be used without modification. I believe if we received an application with appropriate documentation, then it could possibly be allowed. However, it would also depend on the use, and they would all be considered on a case-by-case basis. So the county's not saying yes or no. They're going to base it off essentially the use of the trailer. The building codes do not provide for them, nor do they prohibit them. So if the goal is to allow them or prohibit them, then I would suggest it would be more of a zoning determination and not a building code determination. So basically, the county kind of wish-washed on it and didn't make a determination. So that's the only thing that we have to go by now.
So the process, if the board would decide to enact this ordinance tonight, every person or every property that has sea containers would have to come into the town office, apply for a zoning permit. I would approve it based on the setbacks and other determinations, but it would be permitted in the code. Then they would have to go to Frederick County and get a building permit because it's over 150 square feet. That's our law, and that's county law. So just like the manager was saying, if they can deny it if they want to, this all depends. So it depends on how the structure is built. Is it safe? They have a whole list of things they have to go through. So we cannot guarantee that the county will even approve these structures if it's approved tonight through the town.
Now, the one that's not in compliance, if we do pass this tonight, how can he be in compliance?
The property owner, we were talking before the meeting, I think it would be okay if they did some kind of landscaping plan, brought something into the town office, and we reviewed it, some kind of pine trees or some kind of vegetative buffer that goes higher. We were thinking a fence, but the code only permits a 6-foot fence, and these structures are over 6 foot tall, especially these.
It would be like the buffer that you require for your, like we just discussed with the commercial zones but that butt up to residential zones. So a landscaping, like Mr. Goulden said, a landscaping barrier would probably suffice. You can't build a fence tall enough per the code to block it.
I like the idea of adding trees. That's always good. anyhow.
I have a question. Industrial zone, is that coded as IP industrial park?
Correct.
What is B2 general commercial?
Just the commercial district. There's B1, which is neighborhood commercial. Miss Nail, can you please put the zoning map up on the screen?
You can find the definition for,
What's he want?
I think he wants to know the difference between B2 and industrial. You want to know the difference between industrial and B2?
Does the ordinance that we're looking at tonight only relate to industrial IP?
That's what is being proposed by the attorney.
Yes.
This is Quality Tire. It's in general commercial.
No, that's
That's Quality Tire.
No, that's not.
Yeah.
Right here.
I don't think so.
so then it wouldn't be allowed, period.
So that's, I'll tell you right now, I will vote no for this ordinance if we're not going to allow Quality Tire to be part of this.
If they're considered B2, then you're going to say that it's okay to put trailers throughout B2, which then, as you can see, buffers a lot of the residential area.
Then I believe the ordinance needs to be modified in some way, because as long as Quality Tire's been in existence here at Emmitsburg, I think there's been a trailer there.
There's a need for the trailer.
Yeah,
And
it's storage. It's not even storage. It's more of like the recyclable, tires and things that are hauled away, I believe.
Nothing in the code prohibits any of the owners from building a structure, a pole building. That's permitted in the code. This is just an alternative that they have chosen.
Well, that's hauled away and another one
yeah.
replaces it.
I think, yeah, his is hauled away because his is recycled tires.
Right,
Correct.
no, what he's saying is that nothing permits somebody from building a storage structure that can't be moved, right? So he's still using the trailer as storage for the tire. I'm not saying that I disagree with allowing or not allowing somebody to have a trailer, but you can't spot zone, you can't change, that his zoning just in that particular area. If you're going to allow trailers in B2, then you're going to allow trailers throughout B2. And that's where you're going to have a lot more residential, you can see it backs up all to Silo Hill.
What's the screening requirement in B2 at this time?
It is a 6-foot fence.
Okay, no vegetation, no landscaping plan?
For parking, yes, there is vegetation plan.
Parking. Okay, what qualifies as parking?
Let me get it for you.
It would be similar
be
to
a
what
parking-
we just talked about with the Baldacchino
Correct.
property. Exactly the same. It'd be exactly the same requirements.
So there needs to be some sort of screening then?
Correct.
It doesn't just have to be fencing, though? Could vegetation satisfy it, or does it have to be fencing?
It has to be fencing in the B2.
Okay.
But the fencing is for the property line. The vegetative screening is for the parking only.
Well,
And there's no
have
requirement in industrial zone.
I do have a question. He's actually parking that in his back parking space behind the building, and he's using it as a dumpster. It's being used as a garbage, sort of like a garbage dumpster, like we would use in town for the trash dumpster. They're just putting tires in it instead of trash, and then they hold it. Then they come get the tires, and they bring a new trailer back. That's what I think he does.
So it's not a permanent.
I don't think it's.
I understand. I understand completely, but it's still a trailer.
Yeah.
It's still considered a trailer, and you're still talking about the B2. So that's where your trick, had he been in the industrial park, it could have been, included with this ordinance change. But now that he's in B2, general commercial, you're talking now that you want to make that zoning or that change to the ordinance, it will affect all of B2.
No, I understand that. Are there any property tax implications should that particular parcel be zoned into industrial?
You can't spot zone.
We can't spot zone.
It would have to go through the same process as what the Baldacchino property went through.
So basically, the landowner could apply to move into that process to have it rezoned. He could, the landowner, he or she, sorry, could pursue that from their end?
They can, but from my understanding, state law is so strict, this is how we saw with the zoning map change with there, it has to be shown a mistake through the last comprehensive plan. Or
Okay, so if there were a tractor attached to the trailer, would that modify it for parking?
I'm not sure. We'd have
we'd
to.
have to talk with our
Do
solicitor.
you know what I mean by that? For example, if there were a tractor that could be parked there to give, like, if there were a vehicle attached to it, that would change it from a trailer freestanding to potentially a highway-worthy vehicle. I don't know what I'm trying to find.
Would have to
is-
be registered. I mean,
Right, sure,
we'd have
no,
to check
not
with
a-
with the town attorney, but it
Okay.
would have to be registered because per the code, you can't have an unregistered motor
I
vehicle.
think it's tagged.
Because we have, if it's tagged, it's roadworthy, right? Okay,
Right.
so here's where I'm going. And I'm not reading the board's voting, I'm just pure speculation on the issue. It seems to me that we have a trailer that is vital to the success of the business. The reason it's a covered trailer as opposed to a dumpster is because we don't want it filling with water and having the mosquito problem that's associated with that. And therefore, there's a compliance issue, I'm sure, somewhere with perhaps the EPA or the state level EPA, so we don't have some health issue generated by it. Now, it's also my understanding, in talking to the business owner briefly, that this has been the process that's been in place, and I understand we're trying to be compliant, I'm not questioning that issue. But is there some means that we, the board, could direct town staff to find some means to make the ordinances align with this, or if we encourage the property owner to come forward and, you know, pursue this. And again, there's that state issue we could run into, but there's a real value to this trailer on that property, you know, for that business to thrive.
I agree.
He actually didn't know when he bought the property that he couldn't use the trailer.
Oh, sure. Well, that's not my issue, though. My issue is allowing him to continue to do business.
Because it is all industrial on that end, all gray, so.
I agree. Yeah, I don't want to change the ordinance to, that this would affect all of B2 general commercial.
Right,
But
right.
that particular,
It's so close to the
it's so
industrial.
close to it, you know, it's like for all intents and purposes, he really is part of that industrial park, just right, you know, right before you get to the ambulance building.
I think the initial intent of the zoning, and I might be speaking out of turn on this, was to allow for a diverse group of businesses to be able to do business at that site at some future time. Like various, you know, retail or, you know,
Church.
different types of businesses, or church, or others. But again, going to the use of that trailer, I mean, I don't think we could, you know, hide it with a skirt. I don't think we can put a tarp over it. I don't think, you know, we can hide, when I say skirt, I mean around the base of the vehicle. I don't think we can hide it with, you know, a trellis or something like that.
I don't know if this will work or not. If it's covered by a canopy, not a cloth canopy, but a metal enclosed canopy. I did see one of those in town here, right behind my house.
Like a
Their
Quonset type thing?
camper, the whole complete camper is enclosed in a, like you would have a
Yeah.
carport with a
Okay.
cover over. We do allow them in town, right? I mean, that would
What I
cover them.
would say is, I mean, staff's not gonna speculate on what would be allowed or not allowed. I mean, what we're both thinking is it's gotta be an enclosed structure. If this is the direction that you want, you know, you wanna allow it for, or try to find a way to make it work in the B2, just know we make it work in the B2 for one, you got to make it work for anybody else in B2. The only thing I can say is we could possibly reach out to our town attorney and look to see if he has any recommendations. Because at this point, I don't know how you make it work in the B2 without extending it to everybody else. And I agree, you know, it's not an attack on one business or another. It's called, you know, the town staff enforces the code that's put in front of us. We don't pick and choose. We don't have the luxury to pick and choose. But we're willing to work with it. So we don't have the answers related to this one business right now.
Because we don't want piles of tires outside.
No.
That wouldn't
No,
be
it's
good
not
for the
legal, though.
environment,
That can't
yeah.
be done.
Correct.
That's just not allowed.
The visible from any adjoining residential area, I think is if we look at that, perhaps, you know, the other, what is it, B2, they are right on top of all the other residential areas. Now, granted, that's a great picture from Miss Nell, which was probably just taken recently. Leaves are coming off the tree. I don't know if you could see that all year long from Emmett Gardens or not.
Commissioner Ritz, if I may, we have one more picture from the East Main area.
Okay.
Ms. Nail.
That was the white one.
That was a nighttime photo.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
No flash.
I don't see it.
So that's the only way that I know how to resolve, or to even start working on the B2 aspect of it, is for us. I mean, it's gonna take more than tonight for staff to figure out what, if anything, would work.
Okay, so when you say fully enclosed, does that mean you have to have doors to? No. Like, what defines fully enclosed based
I don't
on-
know, and I don't want to speculate, and that's what we've been talking about. I don't want to speculate and tell you one thing, and then, you know, the town attorney comes back, or the county comes back and says, no, that's not acceptable, that won't work.
Okay, so-
I don't want to really speculate without knowing exactly what the answer is.
Sure, okay. So I'll put this in front of the board. Here's a thought, and it costs the business owner money, but it could solve the problem. If one were to put a chain link fence around it, like a industrial type chain link fence, not a 6-foot fence, but a tall fence that you use with privacy screening, like the green slats or a fabric material on the interior that's affixed to it. It's outside of the ordinances as they stand now with a 6-foot fence, but it might solve the problem in a less expensive way than a covered contained building. And that might give us the option to screen it, and
That trailer's probably 13 foot tall.
sure, but I've actually seen these things behind shopping centers, where
Right.
they have these screens that are in place.
Well, behind my house is a screened-in
Right,
camper,
right,
as big as the one that's here.
sure.
It's in their driveway, but it's like, I don't know what you call it,
I know what you're saying,
Carport.
like a steel structure.
yes,
Is
a
that
steel
accurate?
structure
Okay,
with the end of it open where they can pull in and out.
okay,
But you cannot see the camper
right,
on all the other three sides at all, period,
Okay.
because it's enclosed. It's just a little bit at the bottom, you would see the tires.
Sure.
Because it doesn't go all the way to the bottom.
sure.
It stays about a foot off the ground. I guess to leave the water and stuff out, because it's not a complete enclosed
But
structure.
I just think there's cost to everything, and we know, I'm not arguing with you, I'm not debating, I'm just saying that if you have, the back of the building here, you have the trailer here, you could have on three sides a chain link fence with gates on both sides that would allow free and clear access to the tractor, so it could just like drive through.
That's fine.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know if he has the turning radius to align it with the back of the building, that might be a problem.
They don't need that, they only need it around that.
Right.
They don't need it the whole way around the building, they would only have to enclose the trailer.
Well, I mean, bringing the cab and the tractor in
Yeah.
behind the building. I mean, that's a bit of a trick.
Double gate would do that.
Okay, you're
If,
right. That's a
if,
good
if the
point.
trailer were behind the building, though, would
That
you,
is-
re- would,
That's on the side, I believe.
that's in like the north side of the building, correct?
Yes, this is, like, we're standing on or near Main Street approximate,
Okay. So that picture was taken from Main Street
or Creamery Road, maybe.
or Creamery Road?
That's Creamery
I think that's just from Creamery Road,
That's Creamery Road.
because that's the Reavers Field there across from Brother Seaton.
Yeah, that's the side of the building.
Correct.
On the other side of the building, it would not be visible.
There's no road on the other side. The road only goes L-shaped behind and on this side of
It's
the
the
building.
turn right at the ambulance.
Yeah.
So would the board consider the fence option, or the carport type, for lack of a better description? The screening?
I don't have any problem with this, that will comply with our ordinance.
I think it's best that you let staff look into it to make sure it's acceptable before we vote on it and tell the gentleman to go ahead and do it, and then
Doesn't
then
pass.
John Clapp comes back and says it's not in the best interest, or it's not allowed. You know, and remembering a fence, if you're gonna allow a fence, it can only be 6 feet high per the town code, so your 13-foot fence or your 13-foot chain link fence isn't gonna work. You can let staff work with John Clapp and figure out if there's a way that we can make an exception for this one property, or what's gonna be allowed. I don't believe that we can do any exceptions, just based off of property, but I mean, you're looking at two different issues. You're looking at the people that have the industrial zone that we can allow, the board can vote to allow it. And then you have the one business that, you know, probably for him is unfortunate that he's in the B2 zone. And we can figure out how we can handle that moving forward. So basically, you have two issues at hand. You do have some of the businesses here that may want to weigh in, I don't know.
I do have another question. When we just did the B2 zoning for Emmett Gardens, when did we do exceptional? Because they needed to put a fence up, couldn't, because electric lines and stuff went in the way. Or something, we were going to do a case by case.
So the board made a condition on that specific case to be able to come back and make more conditions. So
Right.
that's a totally different situation.
But that's in B2 also, correct?
That was in B1.
That's B1.
Can I ask a question? Can I point up at the,
So the question is it visible from residential or adjoining? That's the question.
It is B2, though.
as it's written right now, the trailer may be used as a storage shed in an industrial zone if it is not visible from any adjoining residential area. Okay. Are we counting this as its own area? So we have residential, whatever this is.
Emmett Gardens.
No, this is Emmett Gardens. What is this?
That's still Emmett Gardens.
What color coded.
Conservation, recreation.
So is adjoining mean
Abutting.
abutting? So for example, like this B2 commercial can't have a trailer because this residential section adjoins it. If we have this little piece in here as conservation, I guess
That-
it's interpretation of the word adjoining.
Well, the wording, we didn't write this. This is what Mrs. Entwistle wrote, and this is
Well,
what
no.
she proposed. And that's up for the board to decide whether or not that if that's the wording you want, adjoining, can be seen from, however you want to word that. That's how she proposed it. That's for the board to decide on that wording of it.
And I'm not, I'm not questioning or criticizing the way it's written. It's just, I think we went into this thinking that Quality Tire was in the industrial park, when
Correct.
in fact it's not.
Right, that is correct.
We need more information about B2.
Or if that
I think if
CR
this,
Conservation Recreation is a buffer, therefore it's really not adjoining, and even though you can see it,
Well-
But this relates to industrial, as opposed to industrial zone.
Right.
As opposed to B2.
yeah.
So if we can find out the language, if we can
What's the
find out the
buffering
language
for
of
B2?
B2,
6-foot fence.
if there's something in B2 that says adjoining, then we're okay, because it's not.
Okay.
If it's just visible, then that's an issue.
right, it's two different, you're correct, Commissioner O'Donnell. I mean, you're looking at two different things. I think right now we tackle the trailer aspect into B2 because I think that is the biggest hurdle. And then we can look at what the buffering requirements are in B2.
Like, I'll give an example, Exxon Station's got the big pine trees blocking in the residential areas so they cannot see the
Right.
gas station, and McDonald's and all that's blocked with the bank and the pine trees.
That's the same thing with the Silo Hill,
Have a fence, it's just
sleep
blocked
in and
with-
everything. Correct. Yep.
So big bigger trees there, are bigger landscaping.
The trees can do the job, sure.
Could cover it, but it couldn't see it at all. Instead of planting a fence, and then also helps the environment.
Sure.
So, is there any more discussion on this? So we can send it to,
Well,
the B, I know, I'm gonna have that, but,
Okay.
the B, that's
B2?
B2, so we're doing, industrial park
correct.
now. So, okay, is there any more on the, slides you wanna show?
Not for us.
Okay, I'll call the people up to speak for public comment. Jay Swope. I'll come up and give your name and your address.
No, you're not. Just using one.
I think he'd like me to speak first.
Oh, that's fine.
He
Just
might
come
like
up and give your name and your address. Okay.
Good evening. My name is Barb Entwistle, and I'm here today and speak in favor of this proposed amendment. One thing I did want to mention to you, and I'm sorry that is
Sweeney,
so
if we could
faint.
hear her address.
You really can't see that.
Did you give your address?
Oh, sure, sorry. My name is Barb Entwistle. I'm an attorney, Entwistle and Roberts, 37 West Middle Street, Gettysburg, PA, but I also practice in Maryland as well. So, I had obtained a copy of the zoning map from Mr. Golden. He was quite helpful in this regard. But it's very hard to see, but I'm not sure that Quality Tire is in B2 here.
It is.
Because he's right on Creamery Road, right around here. This industrial area goes like this. So right here on the edge, he may well be in the industrial area. I'm honestly not sure, but I did want to point out to you that you don't see that very well, but there is a portion across the road on Creamery Road that is industrial, and he may well be in the industrial. So hopefully he is, for his sake. I certainly hope so. But the other map, if you could show the other aerial view, is quite frankly, the industrial zone here in Emmitsburg is right on 15, and it's on one side of 15 and the other side of 15. Do you have that?
We're having a little trouble with the technology.
Yeah, here we go. So here's 15, obviously. Here's
Yes.
Creamery Road, and this is Creamery Way with the industrial look. Here, there is a portion of the industrial park that's on the other side of 15, but there's nothing over there, I don't think, at this particular time. So for our purposes, the way the zoning, not the zoning, the way the regulation was originally written, it said there couldn't be any trailer used as a storage shed in any zoning district. And quite frankly, the needs of different districts are very diverse. Obviously, residential is one thing, industrial is completely different. I know that you're talking about Quality Tire there, and their needs and their need to have something to be able to put these old tires in. The same thing goes for all the other business owners in the industrial park, and almost all of them have these storage sheds there, not sheds, trailers. I mean, Bollinger had 2, his place has 1, J&R Trailers, J&R Transport has 2, DeLauder has 1. Almost all of them have these storage trailers, and they've been using them for years. And the question is, why should we not allow them in an industrial zone, which is obviously very different from a residential area? So for our purposes, and even looking at what Frederick County has said, it's not prohibited. It's not provided for, but it's not prohibited in the building code. So we're asking you to allow us to do that. These businesses have been in business. I know Bollinger for 11 years, his place for over 20. I'm not sure how long DeLauder's been there, or maybe Mr. Swope can tell us how long he's been there. And they've been doing this for years, and they need this. The idea of them saying, you have to remove the stuff and you can build another building, that is a huge, not only expense, but you have to go through a lot of planning and all the rest of that kind of stuff, where this has been something that they've been using for years. And these businesses are a boon to Emmitsburg. I mean, there's well over 50 people employed just in that one little industrial park there. A lot of them are Emmitsburg residents. I know Bollinger Construction has helped the township. They do plowing at a reduced rate. They have their mechanic available to the town. They've done different things. I think they tore down a caboose, they tore down a pavilion, they've done things for the town even, in a charitable way. And I think allowing this exception for them when it's not prohibited in the building code is warranted under the circumstances, the fact that they've had them, they've used them, they need them, and it's not prohibited. So we're asking you to approve D2. Now, whether or not you say whether it's visible from a residential area, I guess my concern initially was, looking at this thing, there really is no residential area except for up here. This is the only residential area that would border this industrial park here, and maybe they could see something, but in fact, if you come down Creamery Road and go into Creamery Way, none of this is really visible to anyone across the street. And if General Tire has 1 trailer, I know Mr. Golden even mentioned that maybe he could move it to the other side of the building. I don't know if that's possible or not based on the lot that he has. But, I mean, it would seem a lot easier just to try to move that around so that it isn't seen from the residential area. And again, our concern was we're not trying to, do anything that causes any problems for any, other adjoining districts. And we thought, quite frankly, that if it's not prohibited by the Frederick County Building Code, that maybe you could allow that in the industrial zoned area for Emmitsburg. That would help these people immensely. Now, as far as what happens after that, there might be a grandfather clause for the zoning of it. So that's another issue maybe they have to take up with Frederick if, in fact, we do require a permit.
Right.
I'm not sure how that's going to work exactly. Our point was, we'd like you to amend the building and construction code to allow storage trailers in an industrial zone, especially if it's not visible from an adjoining residential area. If you want to take out not visible from the residential adjoining area, the only one that's going to really affect is Quality Tire at this point. We have no objection to that, but our concern was that maybe there would be people concerned about they could see it, and so we were willing to have that as a provision that you couldn't see it. Okay? Are there any questions? Mr. Cook, did you want to say anything?
Can you give your name and your address, please?
Jay Swope, 209 Sandy Spring Lane, Thurmont, Maryland. As she says, I own 2 properties up in the industrial park. Utilize it as a parking area, and we do utilize the sea containers as a storage. Again, I've read about all the concerns about fire hazards and that type of stuff. They're used on trucks. I mean, they put them on they ship them on ships. I mean, it's just to a point where it's logical for us to do it. I mean, to the expense of putting a building up is, and not knowing where we want to utilize the property, to put a building yet. I mean, that it's just not, it's not a thought, but we still need a place to put our stuff. You are in charge of changing the rules. All we're asking is just change the wording. That's what we're asking. Just the wording. We understand you don't want a storage unit in somebody's driveway at their house. As a neighbor, you don't want it. But you created this industrial park for us to bring businesses in Emmitsburg, employ people, and in general, just conduct business. And we're trying to, but you're making it hard. They have as they say, they only enforce what you all tell them to do. So if you guys can see it in a way how we're looking at it. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I can't read the name. Is it Bard? They write like me.
Ron?
No, this one. Starts with the B-A-R.
Barbara?
Is it Barbara? Oh, okay. Shoot, you write like a doctor. Okay, Ron Walter.
Ron Walter, 17650 Creamery Road. I think we covered most everything with my trailer, other than it is tagged, titled, and registered to a recycling company out of Baltimore. So I don't know what else to say about it, but thank you.
So you,
Thanks, sir.
what you're using it for is a sort of like a dumpster, like a big. My company has two of them on our property that we use for trash, not tires.
Right.
You use yours for tires.
Yes. Yeah, the state of Maryland requires we recycle all our tires, send them to a certified recycler, and that's how this recycler handles tires, and most all of them. They have to be in an enclosed trailer so they can transport to their lot and deal with it there.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Discussion? Commissioner Buckman?
I would also, have we considered with this code that we're trying to pass, not being so prohibitive to future businesses? I mean, if we were to get another warehouse or something, they would be needing trailers. I want to be able to be open to that in the industrial area. So I want us to be future-minded also, so we don't have to sit here again as a big company comes in, and we've heard our current businesses.
Correct.
Well, I'm just saying, I want to make sure we're open to the future, and we're not limiting people.
Commissioner Dahl?
Mr. Sweeney, I'll just kind of speak to what we've received from staff in the ordinance related to industrial zoning. I like the language, and I don't know if everybody who has spoken has seen the language that was put forward, but there's a modification in here, and I believe everyone has seen it. I don't want to be redundant, but it says, a trailer may be used as a storage shed in an industrial zone if it is not visible from any adjoining residential area. Now, it's been my experience that the Creamery Way industrial area, there are no sight lines. There's no view shed disrupted by trailers. So in my view, I think this is a sound direction to go in. And I think, absolutely, we want to take care of our small businesses, and we want to see them become huge businesses. We want you to be successful. We want to be loyal to you. We want you to be loyal to us. And I want to thank town staff for coming forward with this. I think this is a reasonable accommodation. Related to the B2 zoning issue, we need to know more. We don't know enough at this point in time to make an informed decision. But personally, I lean very strongly toward, some means of accommodation in the B2 for Quality Tire. But
If they're in B2.
correct. If they're I'm
Is there any way
I'm
we
reasonably
Had it-
certain they are in.
If you look at it, the building there is before you hit the curb in the road.
Correct.
And if you look at the zoning map, there is a square on it, and that's gonna be Quality Tire, so, I'm like 99.9% certain that it does lie in the B2
Sure, and I would concur. I think that's reasonable. But to that end, I think we have to do more of our homework as a board, and we also need to put upon town staff the direction to go after that B2 thing, so we have a better understanding of, the adjoining a residential zoned area or a sight line. Because I think we have some wiggle room there because of that conservation resource area,
Right.
that green buffer along.
Throwing it
creek.
out there.
Yeah, no, I think that's a valid argument. So I think I'm not going to say it's a moot point, but I think we have to pursue the process additionally for the B2 piece. But I think the industrial zone, I think we're in a pretty good position to move forward, in my view, in this direction, allowing this.
Commissioner Ritz?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I'm all for this. I definitely want to help out our businesses up in the industrial zone. My question is, if we do pass this tonight, will Mr. Walter be forced to remove his trailer by November? Well, it's November
No.
3rd. It's come and gone. So,
No, if this is, and we, Zach, myself, and the mayor discussed it. Anybody that had received enforcement letters with the date that it was due before this meeting, we weren't going to enforce it knowing that this was coming to the board for discussion. There was a possibility there was going to be an ordinance change. So we weren't going to enforce anybody or cite anybody. Same thing with Quality Tire. While this is under investigation, or I call it investigation, there won't be any enforcement from our part on it
thank you.
until
Okay,
there's some resolution.
Okay.
that's good. Okay. No other question on that.
You okay with anything?
Commissioner Sweeney?
Commissioner Blanchard? I'm good. Mayor?
One thing I really like about that is the recycling. It's a sustainable effort and it accommodates, comes into our green team goals of doing things, and that may be a little wedge in the door too that we could.
I do have a question, maybe, Mr. Swift. Is your trailer tagged? The trailers that you use for storage? No. Right, and then the one that Mr. Walters has that Quality is tagged, because he does not. No, they're not his. No, they're temporary. That's what I mean. It's a vehicle that moves constantly, so it's just parked there until it's full, and then they move it out. So that's what I'm trying to get. Their storage don't have tags, but yours does.
Yep.
So it's a different.
It is a different thing.
Absolutely.
I don't have any problem with the ordinance too. I have no problem with it going through tonight. So I do need a motion to accept the ordinance as presented.
I make a motion to present the ordinance as presented.
I need a second.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made by Commissioner O'Donnell, seconded by Commissioner Buckman. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Motion carries. We do need more information on the B2, as much as we can get, and find out, because his is tagged and it moves. He can come and move it tomorrow and bring a new one that's on full. It just depends how many tires you put in at one time.
And I'll be in contact with the Quality Tire, and
And maybe, I don't know, if in Frederick County or in the city, if the other tire places in Frederick County use them also for storage.
Thank you.
They might use them also, so if they don't allow, if they allow it there, Frederick County should allow it here, correct?
we'll look into it definitely.
There's other tire places in Frederick, I imagine